the power cut and the power will be back, so Wi-Fi might get disconnected. Just letting you know. So just wait for me. I'll come back and join. All right. Any questions from the yesterday session? Some of you left in between, so I'm not sure how much have you heard. How will you cover it up? Anushka, Prerna.
Prerna, are you there? Anushka, you can speak so that we can listen to you. Kavya, maybe
Ma'am,
some
am I
network.
audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am. I've attended the yesterday's class, and I've attended like 1 hour and 1.5 hour. But after that, I was not having my network properly, so that's why I left.
Okay. Any questions from yesterday's session?
No, ma'am. The
Because we did an
portion of the
exercise, so I'm not sure how much did you learn
yes,
about the exercise.
yes, ma'am. I just left before that exercise only.
Sure.
About half of the session, I heard it properly.
Okay. So just try and do that exercise. I'll share the PPT.
Yes, ma'am. I've gone through the answers of two of my colleagues, so
Okay.
I learned a bit.
Sure. Perfect. What
Okay,
about
ma'am.
you, Prerna? Okay. Dibanjana, Kavya, any questions from yesterday's session? Your assignments and all, no questions on that? Should we move ahead there?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. This has been recorded, right? So you guys should never come back and say कि हमें समझ नहीं आया था. We are asking questions. I'll take you back to these sessions and tell you that I asked you this and you said nothing is no question. करने वाली हूँ मैं इस साल बाद पे. I'm telling you, with my experiences of the other batches, they face a lot of problems if they don't go week by week details of the classes. All right, so moving ahead, why are we talking about this topic that you are seeing on the screen? You can see the screen, right? So, what do you think? Why are we talking about diversity and inclusion just in the middle of recruitments, talent acquisition? Why it is important?
Ma'am, because diversity is something that need to be incorporated in any organization, and if we are
Hmm.
dealing with human resource management, then diversity is the key point that must be taken into account. And if we are hiring from different backgrounds and the people's having different culture, ethnicity, or something else, so it is going to be beneficial for the organization as well as the peoples who are working over there also.
Yes, good. Very well said. So, because we are talking about human resource management, people can be hired from any background. That is why we are talking about diversity inclusion at this stage, right? So I wanted to take you through what exactly diversity, inclusion, and equity is all about. How can you differentiate between all these three, and how you can really make your recruitment better when you are actually doing learning diversity and inclusion side by side. So most of the organization these days have a very strong motto that they should hire equal number of people from various skill sets, right? Whether most of the people are still confused in the genders, but other than the gender, there are so many things which are diverse in nature. You know, our caste, creed. There are people from disabled background. There are people from LGBTQ. There are people who doesn't are counted for. They are also there. So you know, the skill set can be available anywhere. We just have to look into what kind of people, where do we find them, and how do we find them so that they can become better. So most of the organizations also have a diversity and inclusion as a major functions for human resource management these days. And hence they have either appointed one of the senior leaders or middle level leaders as a diversity and inclusion officers in the organization. So that's a new position that has come up since a lot of things are happening in many organizations in diversity and inclusion. So what does diversity and inclusion? You tell me. I think we have already spoken about this topic a little bit, but yeah, let's go into the details today. What do you think of? What is definition of diversity?
Diversity means differences that can be on any ground on the basis of their caste, on the basis of their eligibility, on the basis of their um, educational background, on the basis of their uh, gender, etc. So there may be differences on the grounds of a variety of the uh, uh, topics.
Okay. Yep. Cool. What else? Anybody else who would like to add to it? Or you guys agree with what Anushka is saying? Agree with it?
Yes, ma'am. I think she pretty much covered it all. Diversity is all about variety and differences amongst various people.
So what should come under diversity? Sorry, just give me 1 second, huh? I'll just sorry, yeah. You know J.K. Rowling, who that is?
Yes, ma'am.
J.K. Rowling is the one who basically she's an author. She writes all these books of Harry Potter series. So what she says about diversity and inclusion is indifference and neglect often do much more damage than outright dislike. Do you agree with that? When we put our indifferences or our neglect towards somebody is more damaging than when we say that we don't just like you as a person. Agree on that? How does it damage a person?
Well, ma'am, when one shows indifference and neglect, then the other person will not have any idea where as to where they're going wrong, or if in fact they're going wrong. If I show outright dislike towards you, then you would be aware of where what kind of differences we both are holding and why we might hold the dislike towards you. So
Right.
in that manner, we can change. But neglect and indifference would not even create that kind of opportunity.
Absolutely. Very well said, Shivanshi. So now, what is diversity? It's a term used in a workplace composition of employees with various characteristics, people coming from different background altogether, demographic background, different caste, creed, religion and region, both. All of these things, and also there are many other factors that comes under diversity, which I'll take you through the chart of it. These characteristics differentiate groups and people from one another, and that is how the societies are basically, created when you have diversification. Especially in a country like India, you have so many diverse features that you can't even count them. So these are the major things which are considered as diversity when we talk about the workplaces. One is the race of the people, gender, ethnicity, age, physical abilities of people, language, culture, religion. Veteran status means army status, whether they are from defense or not. Sexual orientation of people, education, and nationality. These are the major points of where we do the differentiation. This is how inclusive workforce looks like. I'm sorry. When you have an organization where everybody is working together, so this is how good organizations look like. And no matter what background, experience, industry you are from, no matter what family status, gender, education, military services, your thinking or your personality style, what languages you speak, which race you come from, what is your culture or country or ethnicity, your location or your place of birth, what is your sexual orientation, which is LGBTQ and LE, what is your disability, age, generation, and life stages, I mean, which age group you are. All these things doesn't matter when you are in the organization. It does matter that people are experienced, that people are from LGBTQ, people are from disabled sector, but how do we include them into the organization is all about diversity and inclusion. So what are the things that you can do? Suppose you have an organization, what will you do to make people feel included in the organization when you have people from this beautiful flower joining in the organization? I want to hear from each one of you. So all of you will have to speak. Tanya, Prerna, everybody. I want to know what do you feel about inclusive workforce?
Ma'am, I think inclusive workforce means incorporating all the diversity that is present in the organization.
Yeah,
So
that's a
we can,
definition. I'm
yes,
asking
ma'am,
your
yes,
thing. Yeah, what will
yes.
you do?
In order to incorporate all the people from having a different, diverse background, we must make some make some healthy environment by uh, having a ma'am, give me a sec.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Ma'am, different types of surveys can be done in the organization, or we can make the healthy environment in a way that they must interact with their colleagues.
Hmm.
Apart from having the competitive nature, they must interact while helping each other. If some people are lagging behind in a particular thing, then they must not think that it's not our job. They must be taught in the orientation sessions only that the helping nature must be incorporated in an organization. Secondly, we can make some surveys like how they are interacting with the colleagues in order to know that whether the organization is providing the healthy environment or not.
Hmm.
Or we can also we can also make some meetings or meetups, whether monthly or in a year wise, so that 2 to 3 times, so that they can actually enjoy each other's company, so that the diversity should not be incorporated in a negative manner, but also it should be beneficial for the organization.
Yes, absolutely. Very true. Very well said. So
Thank you.
good things that you have pointed out. Yeah, next who wants to go? Kavya? Kavya, can you hear us today? Okay. Tanya? प्रॉक्सी लगाने के लिए बैठे हुए हैं आज सब. All right, Debanjana, then it's your turn.
I believe like each one of these things that are mentioned, aspects that are mentioned in here, like we can do separate things for each, right? For example, like if a person is disabled, for disabled people, we can create a safe space for them. We can create like what do you call it? Like disabled people friendly areas, right, in the workplace, so that they can travel properly, they can move around without any problems. Because I've known from personal experience that this has been an issue in a lot of organizations, where there haven't been like either proper working lifts, or like the staircases are there with, and people with wheelchair can't move around. So that's something that should be taken care of in every single organization. Then, if we talk about like sexual orientation, which is a huge thing nowadays, people are extremely bringing forth this particular aspect of being LGBTQ plus friendly. We must like make sure that everyone who's currently working in the workplace is educated enough to know how gender orientation works, and what can be considered rude for people who are in this LGBT community. And similarly, all these separate aspects can be dealt with separately. And the main thing is to let all the people in the workplace know how to be inclusive in nature. Everyone should make sure not to be negligent, as we discussed. Yeah, so that the workplace stays in more like it's a comfortable place for everyone.
Very true. Very nicely said, yeah. So it's not just the organization should not matter what's your sexual orientation. So I don't know what is wrong with people's mind, or how we have been given the training by the society for taking LGBTQ as a insensitive area. Uh, Whether I'm a heterosexual or homosexual, or what kind of preferences I have for my sexual orientation, has nothing to do with my ability to work in an organization. So it should not matter. It's just that we need to get sensitive about their requirements that they have in terms of whether which kind of washroom they want to use in the organization, what kind of sensitivity they have in terms of what gender preferences they want to use, he or she, them or they. So this is very important to know as an organization what kind of things are important for the people coming from this background to use the right kind of information about them. Similarly, for disability, so there are 7% of Indian population which is disabled. Uh, how are we incorporating them in organization? We have not seen much kind of things. Over last decade, things have improved a lot. Even in school colleges, you will see a lot of disabled people have started joining the regular colleges and schools. But usually there are the separate schools for blind schools, for disabled people with the limbs problem. It should not be the case. When people study together, we should create the classroom structures in a manner right from the education, so that when they are joining the organization, they should not face problem. Right now, what is the problem is that people have never worked with anybody with disability. You don't know people with how convenient or how inconvenient would be to work around with people with disability, and hence it becomes a problem for some people. How do we address that? That is where these policies on inclusion and diversity really helps that. Similar things happens between men and women. It's a ongoing discussions. Gender parity, uh, gender pay gaps still exist in the organizations. Few of the organizations, though many organizations have started working on this particular thing, that the merit basis promotions and transfers and appraisals are being given every year. But somewhere, because a lot of women take breaks, so this is where a lot of difference of opinion comes in, that when somebody has been working throughout and a woman has to go for a break for a year or 2 years, how can you bring that woman back on the same pay, I mean, have the same pay parity with the men? So this is a discussion which is going on since very long in the corporates. But yeah, the reasons why we talk about this thing is, even without break, there are chances that you have a manager marketing as a male and you have a manager marketing as a woman, same qualification, same experience, still the men would be paid more and women would be paid less. The questions like, you have your husband to feed to you, you have your parents to feed to you are not really working for your job, you don't have to feed anybody in the home, are still asked in the corporates. And that's where the pain points are. This is where the inclusion and diversity basically goes haywire. Same thing happens with people with different ethnicity, in age groups, a lot of biases comes in. When we are a young workforce, if somebody older comes and works in the organization, somewhere we start treating them and, start working as a bully for them. And it becomes too much of a problem in the organization. And it also happens vice versa. There are organizations where people are really old, they have been working for a very long time. Somebody young comes in, somebody outsider comes in, they create too much of a trouble, create bully for them, and it brings too much of difficulty for the organization as a whole. Hence, this entire thing talks about how policies, what kind of training, what kind of things can be done in the organization so that whatever we are talking about can be reduced slowly. Even if a smaller thing, like education programs for the organization, workshops, trainings that you conduct in the organization can create a smaller dent into the way the people think. Majority of the people, when we are giving them this diversity and inclusion trainings, majority of the people do not even understand what diversity and inclusion and equity is a problem. Like, when people talk about feminism, so somehow people feel very offended ki why we are talking about feminism. But feminism word is just feminism, but it just says that we are asking for equality. And equality not in terms of the physical difference that we have. We all understand that a woman's body and a man's body are two different things altogether. Cannot be similar. The way they can do physical work, a woman may not be able to perform all those things at that scale. But what equality says, what feminism says is that we are asking for the similar choices. We are asking for the same rights to make decisions. We are asking for the similar kind of things that is available for a man in the organization, in the workplaces, wherever we work. So that feminism talks about only purely that. Again, people says that women are already been given so much of empowerment in organization and all that, but that's a very small percentage. If you see the whole data of the people available in India and even worldwide, you will see that women are still very less percentage of women. Approximately just 37% of women goes out and work in the organizations, in different workplaces, not just in organization. There are people working as labor class also. And lot of reasons when you conduct the surveys, lot of reasons comes out why women do not go to work. The reasons can be sexual harassment that happens in the organization, sexual harassment that happens on the public transportation. That's why they don't go. The not having a proper facility of washrooms, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to handle the politics that happens in the organization. They don't know how to manage the pay disparity that happens in the organization. So the factors of a woman not joining a workplace, even though they are skilled, even though they have education, even though they have come from a very good background, still they do not get to workplace purely because of these reasons. Imagine, are you aware of this data that maximum number of girl child drops out from school after the age of, say, when they hit their puberty? Because maximum schools, even now in India, in villages especially, and in small towns, do not have a proper facility of providing sanitary pads or cleanliness in the toilets. So once they hit the puberty age, they had to discontinue. So imagine such high percentage of women are not even reaching the stage where they can become educated. Right? So that is why a very screwed ratios are there in the organization, men to women ratio. Any organization you pick up, you will see there are lesser number of women and more men. Pharmaceuticals, motor, any motor vehicle kind of a company, electronic company, FMCG company, all these corporates have more men than women working in the organization. So the ratios are really, really bad. Imagine the ratios are 77 to 13, something like that. Sorry, 87 to 13. So, okay, yeah, this is what the gender parity talks about. So, what is workplace inclusion? Like you all said, that workplace inclusion is basically a term that refers to a workplace where people with varying characteristics are included in the company culture properly. An inclusive workplace welcomes and supports employees who vary in characteristics such as age, gender, ethnicity, whatever we just spoke about, the thing that we showed. Yes, Anushka, please.
Ma'am, I wanted to know that is it a myth or it's true that the HR department or human resource management field
Hmm.
hires more women in comparison to men when it's about HR managers?
No, it's not true. There are so many men who are HR managers. All the top companies you see, all the CHROs are maximum men.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not that. Maximum women try and choose it in the MBA. So if you see when we were in MBA colleges, the specialization that we choose, maximum number of women choose HRM. Not because of their inclination, but they feel that it's a very in-house job, very safe job. You would always be in the office, not going out, not much traveling and all that. But now scenarios are changing. People are looking at other areas also. But men have always been, what do you call it, dominating HRM as well. Even if they did not have proper qualifications, still. All the public sector companies have all male CHROs. I don't know of any of the companies, any public sector company where there is a woman CHRO, even today.
So, ma'am, why there isn't such a patriarchal hierarchy of the HR managers? Like, why they are only hiring men or they are allowing men to go at the higher positions?
The two factors mainly because we take breaks. We see, being a woman, you have to get married. When you get married, most of the women have to leave the workplace because of change of geographical areas, because of change of residence, because of change of maybe the whether the in-laws family will allow you to work or not. So a lot of things happens there. Then second is the maternity break that happens. For some women, it happens twice or thrice. So obviously imagine every time you're taking a break from the organization, at least 6 months break you take. And now because Maternity Benefit Act has changed, earlier there was only before 2016, there were just 3 months of leave which was given by the organization. Government has given that act that organization will give just 3 months of leaves. Now it is 6 months leaves after 2016. So most of the organizations still they don't say upfront, but because we are in HR, so we get to know about these things that they don't hire married women nowadays because they have to give 6 months of unpaid leaves. I mean, sorry, 6 months of paid leaves completely without you working in the organization. So that's an extra cost. So these are reasons that, women are not included in the senior level position. They don't reach that level. Very good. I tell you, when I joined my first company, I was the only woman in the room. All the HODs were men. I was the only one who was leading HR, and I was there in that room. And that happened, I think, in almost all the organizations that I led HR in. There was only one organization where there was another woman in marketing. She was also there. That's it. Rest all other organizations, it was always 7, 6 male members versus me. So imagine it has happened. Like, it's a personal experience. So I'm sure many women have seen that. It's very difficult to reach leadership level. Once you start reaching that, there are a lot of things happens in the organization. Politics also happens. You go on break, that happens. If you are not smoking, so what happens majority of the time in organization? That's a very practical thing. Uh, because if the CEO of the organization or MD of the organization is a smoker, they generally go out together with the department heads and smoke together. Now, if you are not a smoker, you cannot go and sit and stand with them and take decisions. So a lot of things are discussed there. Happens. Similar thing happens on drinks. People go out on drinks. Many women after marriage, even if they drink, after marriage it becomes difficult for a woman to go and enjoy the parties that a man can do. So yes, there is a difference. Things are changing now. Over last 5, 6 years, I have seen that women have become really, really very ambitious, especially in metro cities. I have seen so many good girls really taking up it as a challenge. Ki no matter what, even if I'm not a smoker, I'll still go out and meet these guys. Even if I'm not a drinker, I'll still go out and meet these guys in the parties. No matter what, if my presence makes an area where I can go and lead the team later on. Why not? So yes, things are changing. It's not necessary that you have to go out and attend the party. I don't feel that's the way one should really go to a leadership position. I have never done that. I've never attended any such parties which was not required for me to do. If there was an official party where everybody was called for, yes, you have to go and you should be going because you are an HR. But other than that, I don't see. You have to find your way out. You have to break the glass ceiling. People say the glass ceiling does not exist, which again is a myth. Glass ceiling still exists. You have to break it. You have to be very, very firm about your ambitions and what you want in the organization. Once you're clear about your goals, I think the women can do anything, anything. Right? When you can see, imagine when you can bear a child and that kind of a pain that you can go through, every woman goes through. Not even a single man can go through that kind of a thing. So once you can do that, you can do anything in the world. Right? There's no comparison as such, but yeah, your mental capacity, your physical capacity really comes out when you're becoming a mother. So yep, a lot of things will happen once you join the organization, but yeah, uh, since remote working has become one of the options after 2020, a lot of people have started working from home. The opportunities has come that you can join hybrid. So again, a lot of things have started change in the workforce again. But 2020 was much worst for the people from disabled background, for women, for LGBTQ people. It was the worst. It was not that bad for the male members in comparison to. You can research some studies about it and you will see the data. Domestic violence increased by 81% during that time. Imagine 81%, only in India I'm talking about. So worldwide again, very bad ratio. Worldwide also because I work on women organization. So we get to know about these ratios and percentages. Worldwide also 27% it increases. Child abuse and women, domestic abuse during that time. So imagine the man doesn't have any work. So what he'll do is there would be a domestic abuse or child abuse that will happen. So what happens in at home can also happen in workplace. The way they do it obviously changes. How to handle that? That comes with a lot of education, knowing about your rights, knowing about the acts that is available to safeguard your presence for your safety and everything. Once you are aware about all these things, then you can always fight for it. But I'm not just saying the negative things, there are positive things also. There are a lot of organizations which are working very, very uh, crucially on these topics right now. And that is why I said, last 7, 8 years have seen a lot of changes in bringing diversity and inclusion very seriously by some organizations. Some are just doing it for the show, but some are really, really doing great work in this. So this is the PPT that has been taken from those organizations which have shown that good practices can really lead to wonderful changes in the organization. So diversity meaning I have already taken through. The difference between the two is inclusion is about embracing those differences that diversity brings in. Then what each do? Diversity is often used in the context of hiring diverse employees. But what do you do once you get people who are different into the company? That was inclusion is all about. Now, inclusion is a deliberate action aimed at creating a workplace culture where all differences are welcomed, accepted, and appreciated, which means that when you're hiring people, you're not really showing them any differences. When you are giving them promotions, it has to be very transparent and open so that people can get to know that the promotions or appraisals or my performance evaluation is happening purely on the work that I have done and not on other biases. Know-how, if it is not enough just to give diverse groups a seat at the table, you should also give them a voice to listen to them. That's one of the major points, that we hire people from different backgrounds in the organization, but what happens lately is that they are not being given a voice where they can be heard. So that's very important to bring into the organization. Now, what are the benefits that you hire people from this different background? You guys can read it. I'll take that break now. Any one of you. Who wants to take up these points? Pick up the
We have to
point and try
begin.
and explain. Sorry?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, just try and pick up one point each and then try and explain that.
The benefits. Okay.
Yeah.
Variety of different perspectives. Okay,
Hmm.
these are the benefits of having the people from diverse groups. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So variety of different perspectives. So if we are hiring the people from different backgrounds, then of course there will be a variety of perspective. It is not so that if one person is thinking in a particular way or a particular direction, the another person will also think in that particular direction only. So if there is one point, then it might be possible that each of the employees may have the different perspective for that. So in an organization, the main responsibility is to gather all the perspective and to make a single decision out of which it will be beneficial or not.
Right. Very
Second is
true.
about second is about the increased creativity. Of course, if we are hiring the peoples of the different backgrounds, whether their differences are on the basis of the age or the gender or the LGBTQ or any other respective background, then there will be creativity in them. Means a person who is thinking in a particular way or having a creative mindset, it will be beneficial for the other person to also think in a creative way, and the organization will be benefited in such a manner. And
Hmm.
creativity comes from not only the art or what the points you are giving, but also in the way you are thinking about a particular point. If there is
Absolutely.
something if there is something like any type of conflict or any type of misunderstanding, then creativity is also like how the dispute can be settled down by thinking in a such a manner. So these are the some of the points. And second is the faster problem solving. Of course, if we are having a huge number of people and we are taking the perspective from each of them, then the problems might be solved very easily. If a single person is there and he is facing a particular problem, it might be possible that if two, three people more will be there to discuss the problem, then the solution can come. And if different peoples will give their perspective and their solutions, then they can end up having a particular conclusion.
True.
They can
Yeah.
come to a
Hmm.
conclusion easily. Second is higher innovation. Means if a larger mass of the people is there not only in quantity but also in quality, if they are having the same educational background or same not having a higher education background, preferable educational background, then they have come up with such a mentality or mindset. They are already skillful, and if they will think in a rational manner, then it will be beneficial for the organization as well as for them also, in order for the groom up of a particular individual or decision making of the team. Second is, yes, decision making only. So better decision making, of course, if we are discussing on a particular thing, and if everyone is not only about bothering their points, also they are focusing on finding the solution, then it might be possible that they will come up having a good conclusion on that particular topic, and the decision can be made easier in an easier manner. The HR,
Great.
yes, ma'am. The main job of the HR must be there that they must look out on the perspective of different peoples in order
Hmm.
to come to a particular point. They should not be biased about a group. Means if, for example, if there are two, three groups of the peoples, then the responsibility of an HR is like listening to each and every point of listening to each and every group and focusing on their points, whether they are saying it right or not, irrespective of their favoritism or being on a biased nature. So in that manner, the decision can be made in an easier manner. Second is reduced employee turnover. reduced employee turnover. I can't.
Let anybody else do that. Yeah. Let the Banchna talk about these four.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, reduced employee turnover, it is because see, in an organization when one is getting, like everyone's getting chances to put forth their perspectives. Okay, they are getting the chance to show creativity and innovation. Obviously, they will feel so much more included in the organization, and
Hmm.
so like they would not want to leave the company if one gets so accommodated in a particular space and they feel so welcomed and they feel so useful, then employees would like employee retention would be much more as compared to other
Hmm.
organizations where there isn't much inclusion seen, right? So hence there's going to be reduced employee turnover, and that obviously benefits the organization in a very huge tremendous way, right? They don't have to hire again and all that. Anyways, then there is higher employee engagement. Yes, higher employee engagement because, well, everyone is getting a chance to put forth their own ideas. So they
Hmm.
will feel like it is their duty, it's a part of them to come forward with new innovative ideas, take part in whatever is happening, and with the increased enthusiasm that is. So that is also a big thing. And as mentioned, employee engagement increases, better company reputation, of course, because in this time and date, if like the organization is known for being of such an inclusive nature, then
Hmm.
there would be more talented people who would want to join that particular company. Right, their reputation is going to increase because they will be known for their amazing, engaging workplace and environment, and they'll be known for their inclusive nature and everything. So the company's reputation grows, and many good, talented people would want to be recruited. They should.
Yeah.
Hence, again, increasing the company's success in a way. Improved hiring results. Yeah, as I mentioned before, since the company's reputation increases, company's reputation is becomes much better. Obviously, a lot of people would want to be hired in a particular
Hmm.
organization, right?
Yeah.
So hiring results would also, in a way, improve on those. Yes.
Absolutely. So these are the benefits that you guys just spoke about. So imagine, right from bringing different perspective to the decision-making table, problem-solving table, creativity, innovation to hiring better or giving them proper place where they can be valued. Because every employee thrives when they are being valued in the organization. They feel they are connected, they have a sense of ownership in the organization as well. And that's when they started to do the better job of whatever they have been doing. And diverse workforce brings in all that, the organization. So these are few status for from the researches that has been done by many organizations. So if you know that Glassdoor is a platform similar to social media platforms, Glassdoor has the opportunity where employees can share uh, anonymously or by their names feedback or reviews about the organizations upfront. So that's one of the background, that's one of the platform. Then BCG is a company, and McKinsey and BCG are both the companies who do surveys. They conduct annual surveys of various organizations. Organizations participate, and that's when they gather this data about organizations' health, whether they are really happy or not. So what does these percentages say? That Glassdoor found out that 67% of job seekers said a diverse workforce is important when considering job offers. So imagine such a high percentage of people who share their reviews and their feedbacks anonymously also and by their names also says this important thing about that. Similarly, George Pershing research shows that inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be the innovation leaders in their market. So imagine other organizations which are not working towards diversity and inclusion too much, has been, whereas the companies which are working on inclusiveness in the companies, they are much more likely to have better innovation. and leaderships. Then BCG shows that companies that have more diverse management teams have 19% higher revenue, which is not a small thing. Imagine the company and hiring people from various backgrounds and diverse nature, and that's when their profitability and revenue has improved so much. McKinsey shows that racially and ethnically diverse companies outperform industry norms by 35%. So these percentages talks itself about, it gives you a clear clarity of how the organizations or the workplace needs to hire for diversity and bring that structure now into the organization. Now, what do we do so that we can always create a better diversity and inclusion equity in the organization is hire for diversity. Every day increase incidents and best practices of whatever is happening. Make sure that if there are a man and a woman or there is a person who has equal number of experience, have similar kind of background, education background and qualification, you should give much more opening to the women or to the other people as well. It's not just the man. Right? Then are the actionable strategies. So these are the strategies that is being done by maximum organization. What do they do when they are hiring better, or they are giving proper trainings, or they are hiring through referrals? So this is completely 100% actionable strategy that you can use from your organization from tomorrow itself. What does it say is that first is diversity sourcing. Add terms like employee resource group or ERG or Boolean search strings. Boolean search strings हम करेंगे next week में, where I will give you that how you can actually search through search engines like Naukri or LinkedIn using Boolean search. So these phrases like diversity focus network, Black, Latino, disabilities, women in IT or LGBTQ, जिस भी area से आप hire करना चाहते हैं, you can specify that in Boolean search so that even if you're hiring from Naukri, say you're hiring a marketing manager from Naukri, आप marketing manager के साथ ये डाल दोगे कि disable हो या women हो या LGBTQ से हो in these parentheses, then it will be, there are chances that the your search will show you more women or people from the same background that you're putting into brackets. Similarly, university graduates can be hired through diversity associations. So many organizations and universities, especially outside India, has very great associations of diversity and inclusiveness into the they have created that kind of a clubs or communities through which you can really hire. So you can just talk to the people and the organization while you are going for campus recruitments, and then you can do that. इंडिया में अभी इतना ज्यादा नहीं है ये बहुत ज्यादा culture, but still you can always ensure that you are hiring when you are going for the campus placement. You can hire people as per their merit and qualifications without looking at the genders. Then diversity focused job fairs. There are many organizations which are these are event organizations. So they conduct events and conferences throughout the year in an offline and online manner both, where you can go and become a participation for hiring people from that. So they ensure that different diverse background people are available for the job, and that's why they invite companies. But if you are invited in that company or you participate in such job fairs, you can hire people from there. Then similar thing happens in employee referrals. So you know how referrals work. You can recommend people who are from various backgrounds and you can give them rewards. So suppose if Devanchana is working in my organization, I'll tell Devanchana that we are looking for this particular position with this skill set, and we would prefer that somebody from a very diverse background comes and joins in. She might be having a friend who may be a disabled candidate or LGBTQ, and we try and hire people from there as well. And you give them the reward. So these are the few strategies that can be done. Now, how to hire? When you become an HR manager and you become the major, you have a better decision making in terms of how to hire and bring the diverse workforce into the organization. You need to showcase into the panel also. Your interview panel should be that where they are talking about they are also from different backgrounds. It easily shown. जब एक ही तरीके के लोग आपको दिखेंगे that all the men are sitting or all the women are sitting, it won't really give that much of an impression that it's a diverse interview panel. So try and bring in people from various ethnicity, various backgrounds, so that your interview panels also looks like that you're open and diverse organization. Then diversity training for recruiters, very, very important. All the recruiters who are there in the team should be given separate trainings on DI, diversity, inclusion, and equity, so that they know what they are hiring for. They know, other than the skill set, what they need to look into and what kind of things, what kind of biases they can let go of when they are making such decisions of hiring people in the company or sourcing people in the company largely. Then blind hiring practice. Many of the organizations, especially in the West, in outside India, have started blind hiring practice. India में भी बहुत सी कंपनी ने start कर दिया है. In larger organization, it has started happening. Blind hiring practice basically happens that you don't know the name of the person, you don't know the gender of the person. The resumes have come only as a skill set, that the person experience is there, the person's qualification is there, and their competencies and skill set. Nothing else is mentioned. There is no photograph, there is no name. So you hire that person purely on the basis of the skills that they have and not just the gender and all. Generally, people are hired here in online culture like that, where they are not even they are not showing their faces. They're just talking to the interviewer, and then the interviewer makes the decisions in hiring them. So it's called blind hiring practice. Now, four types of biases that happens largely in the organizations are related with age, gender, ethnicity, and race. But there are many more that keeps happening. So these are the four major ones. जितने भी आप डे टू डे बेसिस पर आप देखेंगे, आपके दिमाग में भी unconscious bias आते हैं. These come purely because of these things. कैसे biases होते हैं? Any examples that you would like to give? What kind of biases happens? Age related?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you're right.
Ma'am, actually, the age-related bias nature means, suppose we are going to have a discussion on a particular topic. So,
Hmm.
suppose like LGBTQ. So, if we are discussing on such a particular topic, then we think that the peoples of our age group or those who are at the present time, so
Hmm.
uh, they can participate in the discussion in a more rational manner in comparison to the peoples who are from the older age groups. So this is
Hmm.
clearly a biased opinion of ours, that the only particular topic is related to such a age group. But LGBTQ is something like, it is not bounded to any age, but
Hmm.
still we are having a particular thought that the peoples who are coming from our generation, or of and those who are having the same age of like ours, they can understand this topic in a more rational manner in comparison to our elders.
Yes, good topic. I mean, good example, Anushka. And similar things can happen with various topics, various other topics. In organizations, even some older or more experienced people can say that somebody who is a youngster may not know too much about this particular thing. Hence, they do not really incorporate them in the decision making, day-to-day decision making. So that can also be one of the examples. Gender-based biases, we all know. So I'm not going into the detail. What about the ethnicity? What kind of examples can exist in organizations related to ethnicity? What is ethnicity? Debanjana, Anushka?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Ma'am,
Yeah, Tanya, go on.
ma'am, ethnic bias may include engaging in discriminatory practices against a particular ethnic group and holding negative attitude towards that ethnic group. Let's say between Hindu and Muslims, which is the most common factor in a
Yeah,
workplace.
right. Any minority for that matter. Yeah. And people from various caste and creed also, right? So ethnicity.
Yes, ma'am.
Usually ethnicity, the term has come from people who are generally black and white. This is how the discrimination usually happens. But it can come to any brown people also. Like when we go outside and work in foreign countries, so the similar kind of biases we also face in the workplaces and in normal things also. So this is the ethnicity example. Good. Now, what about the race? What is race? भागने वाला रेस नहीं है ये.
Biases also we see in the West a lot, as you said, between blacks and whites. And race is basically coming from like we are Asians, right? And then there's like if a lot of times in America, it's we can see a lot of racial biases if we go to work there,
Hmm.
just because we are not their race. Yeah, yeah, and as I mentioned before, between blacks and whites, blacks is considered as a weaker race in America. And the whites are considered as supreme ones. So that kind of racial disparity can still, I guess, be seen in workplaces as well.
Yeah, but in India, what kind of bias can happen?
In accordance
Ma'am,
to race,
India, it can be, according to me, on the basis of the race, the discrimination can be on the basis of peoples who are coming from like tribal groups. So they're having a whole different physical as well as social culture background. So the peoples who are coming from that particular group, they can be discriminated on the basis of the race.
Hmm. Okay. And what about the people who are coming from smaller cities and villages?
They
Do
are
we have
also
biases
prone to.
against that? Yeah.
can that be considered as a racial bias?
Sorry, that cannot be.
Could that be considered as a racial bias? People who come from smaller cities or villages.
Yeah, but that maybe not as a in the race properly, but yes, maybe in demographic or geographic kind of a bias that comes under.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, but that's a bias that exists in corporates, in workplaces, even now. That, people have a very prejudiced opinion about people coming from smaller cities or villages and working in larger organization. One is the accent that differs when you are talking and trying to speak in English. No matter whether their English is grammatically correct, but the accent is always a problem. So that is one of the areas. Second is the way of how they eat and they dress up and the personalities are is obviously one of the things. So other than these four biases, largely there are many more which can come in. So इंडिया के अंदर भी है ethnicity और race के अंदर ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट वाला इशू भी बहुत ज्यादा आ जाता है स्किन फेयर वाला आई टोल्ड यू दैट matrimonial sites also talks about that and it happens automatically in HR also when you are making a hiring decision if you have a personality, a very pleasing personality, very charismatic personality in front of you, somehow you feel mesmerized by the person, no matter what gender are they from. If they are really good looking, if they are really dressed are very well, they are looking very, very good, there are chances that your mind, your brain can play against you for hiring them. So that's a very unbiased unconscious bias that has ingrown in all of us since the very long time. which should not be the case. And it has nothing to do with color. It has majority of the time, it has to do with the personality of the person. There is a research which was being done by BCG long time back. I think 7, 8 years back, I read about this particular thing. In that research, they found out that imagine worldwide this was done in a lot of the workplaces, and they said 73% of employees who are working in the organization are working through their personalities and their confidence. Skill set was not really major factors of them working in the organization in leadership positions. 73%, which is a very highest percentage. That is why the unconscious bias always remains, that how we look, how we are dress up, how we talk, our confidence, all these things really matters when somebody is making a hiring decisions for you. So imagine only 37%, 27% of people are on leadership position purely because of their merit and their qualification. 73% are there for their personality and charismatic, the way they carry their charisma. Yep. So that's a unbiased, unconscious bias that exists. Now, how do we cultivate an inclusive workplace? Very quickly, it is very important that the leadership involvement to be there. You and I can talk a lot of things about, whether the organization should have diversity and inclusion or not. You create positions and do that. But till the time the organization's leadership, the management is not really being a proper part of the decision making or really showing it as an inclusive workplace, it is going to be very difficult for everybody else in the organization to feel the need of why inclusiveness should be there. Hence, leadership involvement के अंदर these 4 points ensure diversity at all levels in the management. सीनियर लेवल पर भी आपको डाइवर्सिटी दिखानी पड़ेगी, इसीलिए बहुत सारी कंपनीज ने अब डेलिबरेटली क्या किया है, either board of directors or senior leadership management में they have started including women at least. So 1 or 2 women, if there is a compulsion now in a lot of the organization that at least 1 or 2 women should be a part of the leadership team. Assigning a top executive to lead or sponsor your diversity program, again, it's very important that somebody leader in the organization जिसको लोग समझते हैं, जिसको देखते हैं, जिसकी बातें सुनना चाहते हैं. Because leaders have their visions in the organization, especially the MDs and CEOs. Hence, it's very important that some of the programs that you're running under the diversity inclusion in the organization should be run by them properly. Whether it's a town hall that you are including the conducting in the organization, town halls are generally where you include all the people in at one platform. Generally offline hota hai. And you are gathering them at one particular place, and then the senior leadership talks to them about future plans and what has happened. So town halls are really, really great way of communication where people also feel very happy about directly talking and listening to the management. So in town halls, you can create one session purely by one of the top executives talking purely about diversity and inclusion. And that's when the diversity programs will get much more benefits coming out of it. Similarly, appoint a chief diversity or equality officer at somewhere at leadership level or mid to senior level. There should be somebody who should be taking up this job and really doing a wonderful part of how your diversity inclusion reaches at all the level of the organization is happening. Then fourth is creating a diversity council of committee. It's very important. Like you have ICC committee for POSH, which is prevention of sexual harassment. उसके अंदर एक ICC committee बनती है जो decision making लेती है in case something happens in the organization. Similar things should happen, called should be invited and should be given a name of diversity counseling or committee, जहाँ पर anything related to differentiations in diversity can be discussed and brought about so that people can take various decisions. People can know what are the people who are the people in the organizations who still have a problem. How can they be trained and educated into getting to know things much more better ways? इसके बाद आता है education and training. After leadership involvement, it's very important everybody in the organization is given unconscious bias or sensitivity training over and over again. It is a job of HR that we need to include this thing on a monthly basis or quarterly basis into the organization, because in one session of unconscious bias, people will not know about this thing. Hence, a repetitive nature of things about both the gender sensitivity training and about the unconscious bias should happen in the organizations. Second is organization diversity and inclusion workforce. Obviously, when you're talking about this particular thing, you need to talk more about it and you need to give workshops, proper capsules to be created. Some can be done on individual level by them on their own, maybe on your HR software that has been incorporated or LMS software which is incorporated. And some should happen in a lecture format where somebody you are inviting who can talk about diversity and inclusion and conduct proper workshops in the organizations. Third, organize training on teamwork and collaboration. Because until unless there won't be trust, respect, teamwork, and collaboration in the organization, diversity हो, inclusion हो, normal teams भी काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. So it's very important that the culture of the organization should be on these 4 parameters, that respect है, trust है for each other, teamwork hai, collaboration hai. One teammate is lacking, you need to cover it up for them so that they can really be pulled up again and again in their performances. Last is offer conflict resolution education. Very important, since when sensitive things happens in the organization, especially related to gender, especially related to ethnicity of people, especially related to culture, caste, background differences, and also LGBTQ differences, then you need to have a conflict resolution committee properly. Also the education कि किस तरीके से आप conflict को resolve करेंगे. कौन committee members हैं तो वो किस तरीके से conflict को resolve करेंगे. There is an act completely on conflict resolution which is there. Other than the act, a lot of organizations usually call or create a position of a mediation officer in the organization. Mediation officer's job is to look into all the conflict, all the grievances that is coming in, or if they have to form a committee to take a better decision, then the mediation officer invites and creates a committee and then take a decision for any conflict that happens related to this particular area. इसके बाद आता है पॉलिसीज एंड प्रोसेसेस, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आपने लीडरशिप इन्वॉल्व कर लिया, आपने एजुकेशन दे दी, पर जब तक आपके पास रिटन डाउन गाइडलाइंस नहीं है, पीपल विल नॉट फॉलो एनीथिंग इन द कंपनी. कंपनीज के अंदर लोग एकदम बच्चे हो जाते हैं, जैसे स्कूल कॉलेजेस में रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस होना बहुत जरूरी है. सिमिलर थिंग्स शुड हैपन इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो related to diversity and inclusion, values के अंदर आप क्या दिखा रहे हो, that has to be given. आपके मिशन और विजन स्टेटमेंट में क्या आ रहा है, that has to be given very importantly. Then आपकी पॉलिसीज के अंदर कहाँ कहाँ पॉलिसीज के अंदर आ रहा है that you are hiring from diverse background, what are the platforms available, what are the benefits available if you are hiring from diverse background and including people in the organization. All these things has to be done in a very, very nice manner. And then training on those policies should be again given to people often, regularly. Then retention and development. If you are planning to retain the employees for a very long term in the organization, it's very important that you start working on retention and development also. Implement professional development programs, which is where you invite a proper DEI consultant who comes into the organization, give a proper professional development programs, at least for the leadership and mid-management people, so that once the leadership and mid-managers, the people who are people managers, have understood the whole idea of what inclusion and diversity is about, they can also give that training and pass it on to the other members in the organization. Second, offer diversity focused mentoring programs. Very, very important that one-to-one mentoring, group mentoring is happening in the organization on a regular basis, where people's queries are being resolved. Because बहुत सारे लोगों के दिमाग में बहुत सारे problems और questions होते हैं. अब suppose if I ask you this question, how much are you aware about LGBTQIAO? कितना जानते हैं आप उसके बारे में, क्या definitions है इसकी? Will you be able to tell me? Anyone?
Not the entire thing. I know just a few words.
Sorry, I could not hear you. Voice was not coming through clearly. Can you repeat yourself, Devanjana?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, Anushka.
Ma'am, actually, LGBTQIA, it represents the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender peoples, or those who are intersex or asexual. So these are the
Hmm.
peoples, like those who are not having a single identity of only if they are male, they will be attracted towards a female, or if they are a female, they will be attracted towards a male. Those people who are beyond this type of myth means if they are a female, they can also be attracted towards a female only. So this is a term which is given to someone who are lesbians. The
Hmm.
gay, those boys who are attracted towards the boys only, and they are not interested in the girls. Actually,
Hmm.
there all the attraction of the hormones are saturated around the boys only. So they are the gay.
Hmm.
Similarly, there are the transgenders or the asexual peoples or intersex peoples. So these are the different terms which are provided to the different sections of the society, those who
Hmm.
feel that they are apart. But in actual terms, only the government is not accepting these type of trend because of the different criteria. Like they are also thinking about the population, what will happen about the population if the boys will be married around and if two girls will be married. So although there are IVF or the other advanced technology, but these are the things which are not acceptable by the government right now. The society is moving towards accepting these types of things, but the government is not ready to accumulate in the
Hmm.
present scenario. So
Yeah,
this is something about the LGBTQ.
very nice. Yeah, Tanya, Devanjana, anything that you would like to add?
As she said.
Yeah, Devanjana. Your voice is not coming to us if you're speaking something. Still can't hear you. Yeah, you're having network issues. That's why we can't hear you. Yeah. No, we can't hear you, Devanjana. So you can write in the chat whatever you have to say. I'll speak on your behalf. Tanya, you have to add something to it?
No, ma'am.
You don't know about what LGBTQIA completely?
Yes, ma'am, I know about the full form.
Hmm.
But I would not be able to define it properly.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the reason. See, this is the major thing that I wanted to highlight. Like Anushka explained it really well. But there are certain things that we are not aware about. So now queer or questioning in LGBTQIA says that, people are still questioning who they are. They don't know what their gender preferences are. They don't know who they are. How do they identify themselves? So we have people like that as well. And there are a maximum population who does not understand what LGBTQIA. In fact, the people who we have elected as government of India, whether whichever party it is, they are so uneducated, unfortunately, that they don't even understand what LGBTQIA. So forget about creating or giving them the benefits or giving them an option to be there, representing. In fact, अगर आप properly देखा जाए, जो हमारे what do you call it, हमारे उसमें लिखा हुआ है, I'm forgetting the name. हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो लिखा हुआ है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ये लिखा हुआ है कि whoever is representing the constitution of India, people who are elected for MP in the parliament, people should be elected from diverse workforce, diverse areas. So अगर LGBTQIA वाले people are there in India and they in fact create a population say even of 7%, 5%, at least one representative, one MP out of the 372 MPs, 400 plus MPs that has been elected, at least one MP should represent them. And unfortunately, we do not have anybody like that. Similarly, for disabled group, when there are 7% of the Indian population, 7% तो हम दिखा रहे हैं. I'm sure इससे भी ज़्यादा होगी. 7% of disabled population is here. At least there should be one MP or there should be one proper area of where we call, people, anybody, it can be a ministry, it can be a smaller kind of a ministry that can be created for these things. That's when the diversity that we say so proudly for India is that we are a diverse country, then only it will be told about. Imagine अभी तो हम सिर्फ मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्स में या उसके लिए ये भी लड़ रहे हैं कि 33% वुमेन पॉपुलेशन शुड बी देयर इन द पार्लियामेंट. और उसमें भी अभी जो करंट गवर्नमेंट है उन्होंने भी किनको हायर किया है, मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ वुमेन have no background of doing a service to the people. आप कितने भी नाम ले लो, I don't want to take a lot of names, but just now Kangana Ranaut was elected from Mandi. Purely on popularity, she has not done nothing, no work as such on social service for people. Uh, Similarly, a lot of such actors who have been given a representation in as a member of parliament has been elected purely on their popularity and nothing else. Even if you go at the ground level, Sunny Deol has been given a seat in Gurdaspur whereas he resides in Mumbai. Just imagine a person residing in Mumbai all the time. How will he or she perform anything in Gurdaspur, for that matter? And that's a BJP candidate. Similarly, बहुत सारे ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं. अभी करंट गवर्नमेंट का उठा के देख लो, हेमा मालिनी, she stays in Mumbai, everything is in Mumbai, her career, her family, everything is there, but she's been represented somewhere in UP, Mathura say she was elected. So such kind of disparities are happening when we are talking about the government of India. और वहीं से ये सारी की सारी चीजें निकल कर आती हैं when you go into the corporates and people are taking similar kind of decisions in the corporates also. So too much of disparity is there, and that is the reason why a specialized person who understand diversity, inclusion, and equality and equity at a very grassroots level should be appointed for government of India also, for central government, for state governments, as well as in corporates also. Because हमारे बहुत सारे corporates के अंदर decisions जो आते हैं governance के, communication के, acts के, they come from the government of India. Hence, it is very important to create that larger space and have that larger space, understanding of that external factors also. क्रिएट इसके अंदर आता है रिटेंशन एंड डेवलपमेंट में, क्रिएट एम्प्लॉय रिसोर्स नेटवर्किंग ग्रुप. सो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपका नेटवर्किंग ग्रुप जितना सॉलिड होगा कंपनी के अंदर, where you are bringing these different people all together and they are talking, discussing, talking about sensitivity things and all that, it's very, very important. It becomes really, really helpful. We have done similar kind of things in the organization, since I know that when you have a networking group, people can relate to it, that I can go and talk to this person much more better way about my problems and issues. And then they can obviously create much development in the organization as well. Then last is track promotion rates of diverse groups. It's very important. For the retention at a higher level, if you are having people from different backgrounds, you need to see how your performance appraisal or promotions or career development is happening in the organization. You need to showcase that. If it is happening, then you need to showcase that. You need to have a very transparent policy around it so that people can see that, my promotion is happening purely on the merit and not because I am from certain background and I'm not from certain background. Now, very quickly, I'll just take you through these best practices that happens in the organization, which obviously you can also include and you can also work around these areas going forward. सबसे पहला fair treatment. Ensure when you are there in the organization, because you are the face of the organization when people are coming, being hired, sourced into the company, it's very important that you start giving fair treatment to them. No matter what background, no matter what area, what caste, what creed, without doing anything, just because they are a human, you need to give them fair treatment, that they should be treated well. Simply. Second is equal access to opportunities. Everybody, whosoever has been hired in the organization, has equal access to all the opportunities that exist in the company. There can be certain criteria, like if you're sending somebody for a development program outside your organization, you can create a criteria that somebody should have spent at least a year in the company, should have 5 years of work experience, and only they can apply. So such generalized criteria can be created. But other than that, everybody should have equal access to all the opportunities that exist in the company. That relates to promotion, that relates to transfer, that relates to the benefits that is being provided in the organization, compensation, any remuneration, and all other things that company is doing as part of the gifts and the social sector function. Third is teamwork and collaboration. We have already discussed about it. Without teamwork and collaboration in organizations, without the DIY cannot exist properly. A focus on innovation and creativity, very important. When you have people from different backgrounds, you can create a lot of focus, larger space can be created for innovation and creativity. Why I'm such, vocal about people from disabled and LGBTQ, and I keeping talking about this, and also women, minorities, purely because these guys have seen problems from the first day that they were born. Right? Imagine somebody with a confused mind. Imagine a 5-year-old child with a confused state of mind, not knowing कि मेरा gender क्या है. I am a male, सब कुछ है मेरा body parts भी male की तरह, but why I am not like other classmates of mine or other friends of mine? Such confusion starts existing as early as age 7. तो वो 7 साल से जब बढ़ती चली जाती है, पेरेंट्स के पास आंसर नहीं होते हैं. जनरली बच्चे डरते हैं पेरेंट्स से, दे डोंट टॉक अबाउट ऑल दिस इश्यूज एट होम. सो सच कंफ्यूजन्स बढ़ती चली जाती है. सो उनको प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, इनोवेशन, क्रिएटिविटी आ जाती है अपने आप को उस प्रॉब्लम से बचाने के लिए, क्योंकि बुली बहुत होते हैं, सेंसिटिव होते हैं, तो लोग वहां पर उनकी खिंचाई बहुत करते हैं स्कूल के अंदर, कॉलेजेस के अंदर. Hence, when you bring that such people in the organization, ऑटोमेटिकली उनकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, उनकी क्रिएटिविटी, उनका इनोवेशन हम सबसे ज्यादा बेटर होता ही है. This is what people have seen. This is the studies have shown as well. So that is the reason why we talk about hiring people from such backgrounds. Organized. Similarly, for women also, women have faced problems since, I don't know, since they are born. बहुत सारे gender differentiations उनको बता दिए जाते हैं that cooking is your job, सच घर को संभालना is your job, बच्चे पालना is your job. So many things we give it to the gender, which should not be the case. In fact, हमारे Indian, अगर आप अपने ग्रंथ पढ़ेंगे जितने भी हैं हमारे, all the Vedas talks about that women's responsibility, the body was created to give birth only. उसके बाद का काम it should be done by the male member in terms of bringing values to the child, in terms of teaching to the child, in terms of taking care of the child as well and of the women as well. ये सब चीजें हमारे ग्रंथों में लिखा हुआ है. I don't know कहाँ से सब चेंज हो गया बाद में, but this is what Indian, हमारा जो भी, I don't want to call it Hinduism, but This is how our structure has been. This is what our culture has been. But it's somewhere it has gone, and now Western countries has become much more modern than us in terms of our thinking and ability of bringing such flexibility into the organization. फिर आता है organizational flexibility, responsiveness and agility. Now, flexibility, when we talk about, we need to ensure that our policies are not really very hard and fast. There are chances of creating some flexibility. वहीं पर भी कोई decision making में कुछ आ रहा है. So all these things needs to be incorporated into the organization. Sometimes situation to situations, things can vary. Similarly, responsiveness. If somebody has a query, somebody is a problem, somebody there is a conflict that is arising, you need to ensure that responsiveness is there and very quickly. The turnaround time of handling conflict, grievances, any kind of a problem that exists in the organization, it creates a lot of difference. The larger time you take to solve or in fact just respond, the first time respond to any kind of a conflict or grievance creates too much of a problem in the organization. Third आता है agility. What is the meaning of agility according to you guys? Very quickly, just one line. What do you understand by the word agility? Don't look to the Google. Just pick
The
your mind.
ability to change directions.
Okay, the ability to change direction is a very theoretical वो. अगर आपको agile होना हो तान्या, कैसे हो गया आप agile? If I say that, you need to have that skill of agility in you, how will you showcase that?
Maybe I should be open to changes.
Yeah, very true. Open to changes and quickly adapt to them. Very nice. Yeah, Devanjana, you were saying something? Your mic working or it's still not working?
Being quick in order to do anything.
Again, your voice is not very clear. It's coming in very bits and pieces. Yeah, Anushka, you want to say what is agility according to you?
Ma'am, according to me, also agility means uh, to change according to the situation, or somebody who is very welcoming for having any change.
Absolutely. So adaptability to change is very quick. So agility का meaning यही है कि very swift होना चाहिए जो भी change आप adapt करना चाहते हैं. Changes तो सभी adapt कर लेते हैं later on. But how quick you are, how responsive you are in terms of bringing that change in you and also in overall organization when the change management is happening, that's when you become agile. And agile has become one of a very important skill in many organizations, especially since the startup culture has started. Many startups work in that kind of an atmosphere, and the culture is also being adopted in a manner where they are very, very agile because उनको नहीं पता क्या problems आने वाले हैं, किस तरीके की situations आने वाली है. So the entire team gets into the habit of agility, quickly changing, very, very high in responsiveness. Then आता है conflict resolution should happen as per, with collaboration. It is very important that collaboration is happening when you are doing conflict resolution. It should not be just one man army which is taking a decision. जितने कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आएंगे बिकॉज जब आपके पास डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स होगी जैसे सोसाइटी में होता है फाइट्स होते हैं एक दूसरे को नेम देते हैं ब्लेम गेम्स करते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में भी होता है so how often and how quickly you are actually handling those things is becomes very very important. So one portion is communication that becomes very important. Second is the responsiveness, कितनी जल्दी आप उसका जवाब दे रहे हैं. And third is handling and managing the conflict with the proper solution. और बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस इसके अंदर आती है देन एविडेंस ऑफ लीडरशिप्स कमिटमेंट टू डाइवर्सिटी विच वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्पोकन एज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस कि बहुत जरूरी है कि लीडरशिप कमिटमेंट होना डाइवर्सिटी में. आप बीच बीच में उनके साथ एक्टिविटीज कराते रहे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर. दे शुड कीप टॉकिंग अबाउट इट, दे शुड कीप हाईलाइटिंग इट, दे शुड कीप showcasing it in their actions. Then representation of diversity at all levels of the organization. जरूरी नहीं है कि आप सिर्फ higher level पर हो. हर level in the organization should have people representing the different backgrounds that they come from. Again, diversity education and training has been spoken about. फिर आता है representation of diversity among internal and external stakeholders. So it's not just internal stakeholders that should be given representation. As I said, जब हम बड़े लेवल पर बात करते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस पे, एथनिसिटी में, एथनिक्स में, सॉरी ethics के अंदर, then we need to have a representation where people can take up all these situations also to a larger context. मतलब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में भी लोग होने चाहिए, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में भी लोग होने चाहिए who are being representation of डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स. अदरवाइज उसका का किसी चीज का कोई मायने नहीं रह जाएगा आने वाले टाइम में. Because when BJP government started, I mean, they won their first election, I think around 2018 onwards. Somewhere it started that a lot of HR managers became very pro BJP. Many HR managers, many HR CHROs, leadership people as well. And they started asking questions in interviews that which party do you prefer? Whether you prefer being, I mean, which you are more pro to, Congress pro हो आप या BSP pro हो, whatever, जितनी भी है. And उनके बेसिस पर भी हायरिंग होना शुरू हो गए थे. So 2018 से 2022 was a very bad phase in corporates when people were so vocal about talking about Modi that much that it started creating problems in the organizations as well. Hence, it is very important that, सिर्फ इतने बड़े लेवल पर इतनी बड़ी कंट्री में with 140 crore people, we are having a leader who is there. He should never talk about such things that he is talking about. उसका impact उन्हें इस बार मिला भी, that they did not really win as per the majority that they should have, but impact आया. And this is what should happen in the organization. I mean, it's a very good lesson. अगर आप इसको corporate lesson की तरह पढ़ना चाहें और training में use करना चाहें, so it's a very good case study which shows that what leaders should not be doing, so that they can become still popular. Imagine इतना बड़ा राम मंदिर बनाने के बाद भी अयोध्या से हार गए. So something was wrong. So that is one of the important cases to be taken and considered, and how you can really use that particular case in the organizations also can be really helpful. Now top 3 barriers in implementation. कुछ भी हम implement करने जाते हैं DEI के अंदर, ये तीनों चीजें, चारों बहुत सारी इसके अलावा भी हैं, but majorly ये 3-4 चीजें हैं जो becomes a very large barrier. One is middle management fails to execute diversity programs adequately. Because training properly नहीं होती, education ठीक से नहीं दिया जाता उनको, they are not being told about their unconscious biases, sensitivity, gender sensitivity and other sensitivity areas. Hence, they fail to execute the programs. Programs बहुत सुंदर बना दिए जाते हैं, policies create कर दी जाती हैं, it is given to them to implement, but somewhere because of their biases, because of their lack of interest in having something in diversity, they do not really work on that. Similarly, budgetary issues prevents the greater implementation. Agar organizations would not keep a separate budget for doing DEI, at least when they are starting it out, when they are being vocal about it, that we are going to incorporate DEI programs into the organization, they need to showcase it with the proper funding of those programs as well. जब बजटरी इश्यूज बन जाते हैं, सब आपको चेंजेस जो लेकर आना चाहते हैं वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस पे नहीं ला पाते. You cannot market it well really, you cannot purchase things, you cannot do the programs and invite good people who charges money obviously to conduct the sessions and all that. So easily that budgetary issues become a problem. Third is too focused on survival in the current economy. Now people say that हमें खुद ही अपनी इकोनॉमी में सर्वाइव होने में टाइम लग रहा है. How do we take care of DEI? जो हमारे पास अभी करंट वर्कफोर्स है, हम उसका ही ध्यान नहीं रख पा रहे हैं, हम उनके बारे में ही सोचते रहते हैं. So this becomes an excuse largely, but somewhere it is true also when the economy goes bad, when the government is not paying much attention to how the things have to improve overall in economy, then these things keeps coming in. So ये 3-4 मेजर है. इसके अलावा छोटे मोटे और होते रहते हैं, कंफ्लिक्ट रिजोल्यूशन नहीं होता, बट लार्जली मेजर जो फंक्शन है डाइवर्सिटी इंक्लूजन एंड इक्विटी का, वो सक्सेसफुल तभी नहीं रह पाता है व्हेन the communication is not happening properly and the education and training is not being given to the right stakeholders. Right? So this chart talks about how things need to be done in the organization. We talked about inclusion, we talked about diversity. Equity says that fair treatment to all people has to be given as per, should not matter what background are they from. Their participation and their career development should happen in a proper manner as well. Now, all these things when combined together really comes out to in the belonging form. When people feel that they are belonging, they have value in the organization, they thrive, innovation becomes much better, uh, views, beliefs, and exchange of ideas becomes much better, creativity becomes much better, retention becomes much better, employee turnover doesn't happen much, and integration happens in a nice manner. Productivity and profitability automatically increases in the organization with that. So this portion talks about your DEI. That's all from the lecture today. And let me know if you have any queries. I'll share these two PPTs for yesterday class and today's class in the group. Let me know if you want to talk about anything specifically. Done? Any questions?
No, ma'am. No any question.
Great. Thank you so much for your participation. The class really went well because all three of you were participating. And I hope that we keep doing that in all the classes. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, one more thing I have to give is the assignment. So the assignment that has been done by Devanjana and sorry, I'm forgetting the Kavya. Right? You all have to do that assignment. I'll share that in the proper format in the group. And Devanjana and Kavya, you can just recreate what you have written.
Ma'am,
See
can
where
you
are the
please
changes.
explain what are we supposed to do? Because I got disconnected in yesterday's class.
So everything is mentioned in the PPT, Tanya. We are talking about creating a job analysis
Okay.
for any position that you feel comfortable for, as per your own idea of what should be the designation or title in the organization. You can create a complete job analysis, including their job description and specification. उनकी normal day to day job duties क्या रहेंगी इस position पे, इसको report करेंगे. और what is the skills and education qualifications required. फिर उनका success ratio क्या रहेगा. How will you measure that the person has really performed well in the company or not. So the proper format in two examples are given in the PPT as well. And just don't copy that. To create your own designation or title and create another job analysis and share it in the group. Share in the group or you can send it directly to me as well.
Okay.
Yes, Anushka, you can give it to me tomorrow. The assignment is for this week and before Thursday, it should come. And for the Banjana and Kavya, I will let you know what are the mistakes and then you can resend it in a proper manner. But otherwise, you both have done good job. So thank you so much. Have a great week ahead. And please study side by side. It's very important that you do this. And if some of you wants to attend some online programs on diversity and inclusion, there is one which is being held by IBM. It's an online thing. You just need to register. I don't think there is a fee for that. I'll find it out and I'll share the link in the group if you are interested to join that. It would be a great learning, directly learning from the DNI, a specialist of IBM. IBM being very large organization, so they do a lot of good work in the AI. Right? So if you want to attend, let me know. Say yes in the WhatsApp group and then I'll send the link. I'll find out whether they have a fee or not. Generally, they do not charge fees. You just have to go by the registration. All right. Thank you so much. Tanya, you
Thank
want
you.
to attend? Sure. I'll send it to you. Let me know. All of you can send a yes in the group. I'll write it in the group as well. If everybody says yes, then I'll send it to you. Because उनके number of registrations होते हैं. They share in our professional group. So, but I'm just passing it on to all of you. It would be a great learning. All right. See you then. Thank you so much. See you next Saturday. Have a great week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.